In this Dr. Stone recap, the decisive battle between Senku and Ibara is finally happening. Whoever wins will take control of the petrification beam and the island. However, Senku and the Science Kingdom have made all necessary preparations to ensure victory. But will that be enough? Also, Whyman messages again, but this time we hear his voice, and you won't believe who it is. So, stick to the end and find out all the answers to these questions and unravel even more clues about the mystery of the petrification. In part 1, we saw that Senku made unlimited amounts of revival fluid. Now he needs to finish the drone. But for that, he needs to revive everyone on the ship, especially Kaseki. But Ibara and his men threw all the statues into the sea. So, in order to understand where the statues would wash up by the current, they have to revive Ryusui first. However, Ibara takes his body to the village and begins having all the selected women break pieces of it to fish out the intruders. To prove herself, Kohaku demolishes Ryusui in smaller fragments, collects them, and sends them to the science team so they can assemble him. The science team quickly assembles the statue and successfully revives him. Without wasting much time, they head to where the statues were discarded and dive underwater to locate them. But their underwater exploration is cut short as they rapidly run out of air. They go back to the cave and Senku breaks pieces of the mobile lab, and together they begin assembling an oxygen tank. After an intense 2-day pumping effort, the tanks are finished. They run back to the dumping site, discovering that the statues have been dragged further into the sea. With only 4 minutes of oxygen left in their tanks and having already spent 6 minutes searching for the statues, the urgency amplifies. To make matters worse, the statues were buried deep in the seafloor, resisting all attempts to extract them. Ryusui signals Gin to send the revival fluid so he can revive Taiju. With little oxygen left, Ryusui makes an air bubble and sprays the fluid on Taiju's face. Taiju is revived, and with his help, they pull Kaseki out and bring him back to the surface. Upon returning to the cave, Senku revives Kaseki, and the old man begins working on the drone's propellers. They proceed to craft bearings to enhance stability and rotational capabilities. Despite assembling all the components, the completed drone proves unstable and constantly crashes. In the meantime, Ginro gets called to the master's chambers. As he walks in, he discovers Ibara conversing with a silhouette hidden behind the curtain. Ibara makes inappropriate advances on Ginro, claiming it's to prepare him for the master. Ginro tosses a pineapple Senku gave him as a precaution to immobilize any potential threat. Ibara collapses, giving Ginro the perfect opportunity to escape. But he knows that if he leaves and doesn't see what the master looks like, Kohaku will beat him up. Carefully, Ginro approaches the silhouette and is shocked to discover that the master is a statue. Ibara recovers and attacks Ginro, but he's able to escape and run away. At the same time, Maz confronts Kohaku and begins to fight. Ginro's useless ass screams to be saved, but Ibara stabs him with his claws and falls. Kohaku catches Ginro and heads for cover. Ginro shares his discovery with Kohaku, who quickly understands the seriousness of the situation. She rushes towards Amaryllis to relay the same message and then heads to the top of the master's palace. Kohaku shouts the truth about their master, but Kirisame throws the petrification beam, revealing it to be a ring-like device. At the cave, everyone's statues are assembled and revived, and the Kingdom of Science is back one by one. Amaryllis appears from the water and tells everyone what happened with Ginro and Kohaku. Suddenly, Maz appears behind Amaryllis. Taiju, sensing the danger, rushes to protect everyone, but is sent flying. He gets back up again and tries to buy time for Senku and the others to think of a way out. No one came up with anything except for Chrome. He noticed that Maz chose to follow Amaryllis to the cave instead of killing her. This means he knew the spy team were the intruders even before Ginro was exposed and decided not to tell Ibara. So, they put 2 and 2 together, figuring out that Maz isn't a fan of Ibara either. Now, with a common enemy in the mix, they have to do whatever it takes to get Maz on their side. Gin proceeds to talk and offers a deal to Maz and manipulates him in hopes that he at least doesn't kill them. During the negotiation, Maz reveals that he wants Ibara dead so that he can have his harem. But he can't kill him because Kirisame would protect him, and revealing that the master is dead will just prevent Maz from using the master as an excuse to train the girls for him. Gin continues manipulating, and after playing his cards right, he makes Maz believe that they will work for him, when in reality, they intend to use his strength to their advantage. Finalizing the deal, they shake hands, and Maz leaves. Welcoming Maz to their team, Senku equips him with a new weapon, a disguise, and an earpiece. His mission is to instill fear in the guards by strategically attacking them. By defeating the toughest among them, Maz will create an impression that every intruder is a formidable force when he recounts the story to Ibara. Meanwhile, Senku goes over the plan to steal the Medusa. Once the drone is finished, they will hide it in a good area and have it ready to take off. 2. Have Maz give the signal when he sees the intruders attack at their place. 3. Kirisame would toss the Medusa and petrify everyone. 4. The drone would take off and steal the beam. Ryusui points out a big problem with this plan. He says that as soon as they take the Medusa, Maz will kill them. But Senku says he already has a counter-Maz plan. A gun. They revive Yo and give him the gun since he's the only one who knows how to use a gun. Or so they thought. After that, they prepare for the fight with Ibara and steal the Medusa. Yuzuriha made 5 hooded soldiers that will be used as decoys. The muscle team and Kinro are revived to help with the tug of war once the drone takes the Medusa. Lastly, after installing a gyroscope for stability and making a controller for the drone, they celebrate and eagerly anticipate the upcoming battle. Except for one. Senku informs Maz that they will rendezvous at the dawn at the Cliff of the Howling Winds for the impending battle. Following Senku's signal the next day, Maz tells Ibara and the guards that the hooded warriors have emerged and are advancing towards the cliff. However, Ibara is sensing that something might be amiss. At sunrise, everyone gathers at the designated location, with everyone in position waiting for the battle to begin. Oarashi, still butthurt from the beatdown he took, begins the attack, only to be put down by Kinro. Everyone else dives into the battle, and Maz signals the girls to confront him. With a convincing act, Maz fakes defeat, making it seem like they've successfully subdued him. Seizing the moment, he instructs Kirisame to throw the beam, setting the plan in motion. Senku quickly alerts everyone, and Ryusui initiates the drone's takeoff, ready to snatch the beam. However, he suddenly freezes and opts to land the drone, sensing that something is off. With the Medusa airborne, Senku does his Kalkyu no Jutsu and figures out that the beam trajectory and range could also hit Maz. He realizes that Ibara has seen through their plan, prompting Senku to abort the mission and tell everyone to retreat. How did they know? Turns out Ibara saw the earpiece Maz was wearing and remembered that Kohaku was wearing one too. He took it from her and heard Senku tell Maz the location and time of the plan. Ibara then approaches Kirisame, hands her a fake Medusa, and tells her that Maz might have betrayed them. Maz also realizes that Ibara saw through the act and tries to clear his name by killing everyone. In doing so, he chases after them. Everyone got on the mobile lab with Maz trailing behind them. But another problem just added. Yo, assigned to be the counter Maz attack plan, fails because when he goes to shoot him, but the gun is missing. Armed with the stolen gun, Magma starts advancing towards Ibara's location, and Gin's attempts to stop him prove futile. However, Ibara has taken the Perseus and moved it from its location. Senku and everyone see that Ibara starts to bring all the villagers from the island into the ship so he can petrify all intruders. Using the beam, everyone started to freak out, but Senku saw this as an excellent opportunity to bring down Ibara. With everyone from the island gathered on the ship, the statue of the master is left unguarded. The plan is to retrieve it and expose Ibara's deceit, turning everyone against him. The group splits into 2 teams, one focused on retrieving the statue, and the other tasked with distracting Ibara and getting the gun from Magma. Senku and the team rush to catch Magma before he wastes all the ammo meant for Ibara and Maz. Meanwhile, the statue retrieving team encounter the problem. The statue is broken. But this show is so full of surprises, with a sprinkle of bullshit, that Soyuz remembers what his dad looked like when he was an infant. So, with the help of Yuzuriha, they begin assembling the statue. Gin is relieved that Senku and everyone have come to rescue him from magma, but his peace is shattered when they tell him they will also attack Ibara. They hop on the ship, and Magma gets trigger happy, wasting 5 bullets. But Nikki manages to intervene and stops him. Yo grabs the gun, only to find out there are just 3 shots left. And to make things worse, Maz boards the ship. Yo gears up to shoot him, but Maz effortlessly sends him flying into the water. Hinro and Nikki give it a shot at holding Maz off, but they're pretty useless. Everyone retreats inside the ship and locks themselves in a room. However, Maz breaks the door open, with Ibara following closely behind. Sensing the urgency, Senku tosses a revival fluid bottle into a cage behind him and revives Hyoga. Ibara, witnessing the power of the revival fluid, runs away, thinking they might be able to revive the master. Hyoga observes and begins to test both parties to see who he should join, his enemy Senku or Maz. He knows Senku disagrees with his ideology of a world where the only skillful and talented can live, so he asks Maz what he thinks. Maz thinks that Hyoga's referring to women, so he tells him that if they join forces, he can have a harem of his own and that only pretty women would be allowed to live. After hearing that answer, Hyoga dashes to attack, but Senku isn't worried, so he moves out of the way and the spear hits Maz instead. Senku and everyone seize this opportunity and leave the room. They get on a boat and head to the island. Meanwhile, Ibara notices Kirisame heading towards the ship. As she boards, Ibara takes the Medusa from her and hands it to Oarashi, instructing him to take it to the island to petrify everyone. Kirisame confronts him, expressing concern about petrifying Oarashi and numerous innocent people. Just then, Taiju, utilizing his powerful speaker voice, announces that their master is a statue and presents the evidence to everyone. Immediately, Kirisame demands answers from Ibara, who cryptically whispers something into a device. 1 meter, 1 second. Kirisame lunges to snatch the Medusa, but gets caught in the light and is petrified, thus falling into the sea. Suddenly, a gunshot rings out and blood drips down Ibara's hand as he loses his grip on the Medusa, only for Yo to catch it. With the device on his hand, Yo attempts to use the Medusa on Maz, who's fighting Hyoga on the other side of the boat, but nothing comes out. The fight continues with Hyoga barely holding his own, but little does Maz know, Hyoga is fighting without using his full strength. Maz charges at him, but Hyoga jumps in the water and swims to the island, buying time for Senku, hoping that he's making him the attachment he needs for his spear technique. Senku and everyone are in the forest doing precisely that. Nikki is cutting bamboo pieces, while Ryusui and Kinro are trying to figure out which may be the perfect attachment. They manage to find the perfect fit and fill it with some lube. Magma throws it at Hyoga as he passes by, and it slides right in. With his new weapon now finished, Hyoga commences his onslaught against Maz, swiftly overpowering and defeating him with ease. Still in the water, Yo is trying to figure out how to make the Medusa work, when suddenly Ibara drops and whispers a command on the Medusa that petrifies Yo, allowing Ibara to get his hands on the Medusa again. Ibara activates the device, but this time to affect 2,000 meters in 15 minutes, and gives it to Oarashi, who we then see running frantically towards the inner part of the island. Ukyo hears the command, tells Taiju to scream that Oarashi has the Medusa, and asks everyone to stop him. Everyone does as instructed, but while running to the center of the island, Chrome tells Senku that the beam grows at a constant speed, a crucial piece of information that will be useful soon. Taiju turns on his super speed, catches Oarashi, and starts to look for the device, only to realize that Ibara made him swallow it. The beam begins to spread from Oarashi's chest, petrifying everyone. Ryusui, Chrome, and everyone starts to form a line. In another part of the forest, Ukyo yells that the device is voice-activated by saying the time and range it will affect. With this information, Senku comes up with a way to beat the Medusa. Senku starts his thinking no jutsu, but it's too late, and the beam continues to spread, covering the whole island. Ibara goes to the island, celebrating on his way to the top where Oarashi is. He notices that everyone has made a line, simply ignores it, and proceeds to retrieve the device from Oarashi's body. His victory celebration was cut short when he noticed a footprint trail leading him to the mobile lab. As he inspects it, Senku's voice says a command to activate the Medusa, scaring Ibara, and then is even more startled when he sees Senku alive. Turns out that thanks to Chrome's crucial info about the beam, Senku thought of a solution. Do you remember when they formed the line? Well, they were measuring a constant distance of 5 meters, and as soon as their fingers got petrified, they would raise the other hand. This information would help Senku figure out the light's expansion rate. Senku does his thinking no jutsu to calculate how to unpetrify himself. Senku goes to the top and tries to retrieve the petrification device, but he hears Ibara coming and prepares the trap, bringing us to the present. Senku starts the mobile lab and runs over Ibara, allowing him to get his hands on the Medusa. However, Ibara stabs him in the arm and kicks him like a rag doll. He grabs the Medusa and begins his villain talk, but Senku is not having it and runs away. Ibara starts chasing after him, while Senku is doing his best to keep him away by throwing bottles at him. Senku is cornered at the edge of a cliff when Ibara activates the device and throws it at Senku. Out of nowhere, Ryusui activates the drone and catches the Medusa in the air. Wait, hold up! How is Ryusui alive? As Senku was throwing bottles at Ibara, one of them contained revival fluid, and he aimed it at Ryusui. When he wakes up, he sees that Senku is being chased in the direction they are heading. He grabs the earpiece that Moz was wearing and waits for Senku's signals on the cliff. Now, with the drone tangled, they begin a tug-of-war with Ibara, but his side of the string breaks. However, he quickly attaches a piece of cloth and continues to pull. The contest continues until Senku and Ryusui let go, letting the Medusa head to Ibara so it can petrify him. But Ibara throws his hat at the device, pushing the light towards Senku. Ryusui then rushes to the beam to catch the device, but gets petrified and breaks into pieces, allowing Ibara to get his hands on the device yet again. Ibara then notices that the device has the earpiece attached to it and realizes that Ryusui didn't just rush into the beam because he's dumb. He attaches the earpiece he was wearing on the Medusa. Without a second thought, Senku activates the device and petrifies Ibara on the spot. Being the last man standing, Senku grabs the Medusa and claims victory. After some time to rest and reflect, Senku revives Chrome to make even more revival fluid and wake everyone else. Senku tells them that Ruri had called him, but the call ended shortly after because the cell phone battery had died. They go to the Perseus to make the call. However, Ibara and his men destroyed everything. The reason for that call will shock you. For the next few days, they continue reviving more people to help rebuild and fix the Perseus. Once set and restored, Senku returns the call to Ruri. She picks up and asks if he was the one who sent a strange message. Suddenly, the call gets interrupted by another signal. Everyone thinks that it could be another Morse code from Whyman. Everyone is shocked, and Kohaku steps away from the speaker. Senku explains that 12,800,000 meters is the planet's diameter. But what's more terrifying is the voice who said it belongs to Senku. This disturbing revelation has everyone in a state of terror. They start trying to find an explanation if Whyman is Senku, and if perhaps it was Senku who destroyed civilization. Later on, they received another transmission. Ukyo analyzes it and concludes that the voice is synthetic. Shortly after, they start wondering about the device's origins, questioning how, why, and where it came from. Senku is eager to find someone who can shed light on the device's history and explain why it ended up on the island. Unable to answer those questions, they continued reviving statues, and one of them seemed to have been petrified way before the rest. They put some revival fluid on, and a guy with a moon mark was revived. Senku carbon dates him and says he has been petrified for a few hundred years. Senku asks him if he knows anything about the green light he saw. Matsukaze tells them that the island used to be peaceful until the devices started raining from the sky. But before he could continue, Senku, Chrome, and Kaseki ran off, saying that science would fill in the rest of the story. In the mobile lab, Senku makes a parabolic antenna and installs it on the Perseus. With this, they can trace and track the signal Whyman is sending. After some analysis, Senku has pinpointed the location of Whyman, and it's not in South America like they initially thought.
敵の発信源は数十万キロ上空ってこった。そう、ホワイマンは月面にいる。
With that said, the kingdom of science is going to the moon. Now that the location of the enemy is known, preparations for the moon landing begin. Senku and everyone continue to revive the remaining statues so that they can leave the island. Once everyone is resurrected, Senku tells the crew that they need to make this island their ally so they can help with gathering resources and workforce for the next project. Soyuz offered to convince the islanders to help them build a massive antenna and a windmill. They finished both projects in no time, and the Perseus set sail toward their next destination, Ishigami Village. While on their journey back, they decided that the spaceship could carry only 3 people: the pilot, Ryusui, the scientist, Senku, and the fighting force, Tsukasa. The Perseus docks in Ishigami Village, and Chrome shows everyone they finally got the complete Dr. Stone set, this being the revival fluid and the petrification device. With this, they will be able to revive Tsukasa. However, there's a problem. The device is running out of battery. Senku explained that he specified a 5-meter radius when he petrified Ibara, but it only showed barely 1.5 meters, meaning that they only have one chance to revive Tsukasa. Everyone gathers in the cave where he's kept frozen, and together, with the power of friendship, activates the device to affect 1 meter in 1 second. Tsukasa's frozen body petrifies, and Senku quickly pours revival fluid on him, waking him up. Acting cool as usual, he asks what the situation is, thinking he's ready for anything.
月に攻め込む。
さすがにちょっと失ったね、冷静さ。
いや、そうなるでしょう。月とか現代人じゃなおさら。
Now that Tsukasa has joined the party, everyone begins to collect resources and load them back onto the ship so they can set sail soon. Senku, on the other hand, gives Yuzuriha and Kaseki the task of building the roadmap for the moon landing project. Once completed, everyone gathers in a tent where Yuzuriha and Kaseki build the roadmap. Their mission now is to revive people in every part of the world and gather resources to build a ship, leave the planet, and head to the moon. But to restore everyone, they are going to need gallons of alcohol to make revival fluid. Therefore, their first destination is America. The cornfields in the USA will provide plenty of food and alcohol. I wonder what obstacles and adventures await Senku in the Science Kingdom. Will they be able to complete the roadmap and create a functioning ship in the Stone Age? Hopefully, we'll find out next season. Until then, I'll see you on the next one. Peace!